Okay. Um, One more video for clarification about some of the history and technique about what we're doing. I kind of just want you to know, to some degree, like there's many different ways you can approach drawing. You can make things up out of your head. You can use references. You can use a combination of those two. Or when you need to draw something and it needs to be very specific, but the thing that you need to draw doesn't exist, you can make it and draw from life or take a photograph of it. Um, this image you're looking at is a drawing by Leonardo da Vinci, and it's basically like a piece of cloth that it's dipped in some kind of glue or some kind of hardening paste. So he'd have a model, he'd put the drapery on them, get the folds exactly the way he wanted, and with this hardening paste that was mixed in the cloth, lets it dry and then peels it off of the model, and then you have this solid um, shape. And you're probably asking, why would he do that? Because cameras did not exist back then, and there's no way you can keep folds staying still on a model for hours and hours and hours when you're going to make a painting. This is a painting by Poussin, a French painter. Um, he was known for using wax models, like a little human figure that were made out of wax, and would probably be the a sane way of being able to paint when you don't have photo references to help you out. So if you look at these figures here, and if you look at a painting that he did completely different time and year, it should look very similar. It's the exact same figures. Just seen from a different angle. So if I show them together and flip it, you can see it's the exact same. There's the girl, her arm up. Look at these guys. It's this guy's head in the middle here. Same thing. It's just he moved his head to the outside there a little bit. So it's I can't say with 100% certainty, but I'm assuming that this was three figures that were wax models that he just reused again from a slightly different angle. And again, it's a good way of keeping the lighting consistent. A real life model can only hold their arm up for so long. And I'm sure also from drawing from life and painting from life, as much experience as he had, he probably knew how to make the flesh tone look real. He probably had like formulas for flesh tone that looked more realistic, and I'm sure the wax didn't have a very naturalistic flesh tone to it. The wax is actually pretty similar to flesh in a lot of ways. Anyway, Amy Bennett, this is a contemporary painter, and she makes these fairly elaborate models and then photographs them and then makes paintings. And I'm not actually sure if she uses photo references or she does them from life. I'm not 100% certain. So here you go. So like if you look at this, doesn't it? It should kind of look a little peculiar. It looks to me like a model. There's something about the depth of field of the focus that kind of feels like I'm not quite looking at a real. Well, it is real, but I'm not. It's not. It's something about the way the camera focuses at a certain depth of field that makes me feel like everything seems so in focus, like it's really tiny. So if you look at this, dun dun dun, she has a model built here, and you can see that little piece of paper in the background for like a sky. Sneaky, sneaky. And little toy cars and everything. Again, it's a great way. I'm guessing she does this from life. I mean, it'd be so fun to be able to have a model where you don't like this, and you don't have to worry about the sun shifting on you. That's one of the pains of having to paint outdoors is the sun. Every like 20 minutes, it shifts so dramatically. The shadows are so noticeably different. There's another one of hers. Again, it's just, there's enough information and enough feeling to just look. It looks almost real, but it also almost looks like a dollhouse too. It doesn't. It's kind of an eerie middle ground that the paintings kind of exist in. Another one, The Problem Child. I don't actually know the name of this painting. And of course, if you have models, you can get very peculiar, unusual angles on it. You know, you can hover above it, which I guess the only way to get an angle like this from life would be if you had a drone or something. This is the model. This is the painting. I like how she even has these little LED lights. This is her studio, so you can see how these are oil paintings on the wall. You can see several different angles of this like cityscape that she's constructed. I'm guessing she paints from life. Who knows? Maybe life and photographs. A lot of painters I know who paint representationally, it's a combination of both. These are both paintings. You never have to worry about that sun shifting on you. This is another artist named Thomas de Man, German guy. This is a photograph, and most of the work that he shows in galleries are photographs, but he considers himself to be a sculptor, believe it or not. He studied sculpture, and this is a scene that was from. There was a story that he read in a newspaper in a museum where a visitor tripped while he was trying to go up the stairs and knocked over an ancient Chinese vase that was hundreds of years old, and it broke. And there was a photo that he found in the newspaper of it that looked like this. And what he does is he reconstructs it out of paper, and then photographs it, and then destroys the paper model, and then all he's left over is the photograph. So everything you're looking at, from frame to frame, from edge to edge, is made out of paper, like cardboard and paper. So even the grass that you see outside, he made that in his studio, or him and his assistants made it, and it's all made out of paper. And sometimes I see him use like really heavy paper, like looks like cardstock, like cardboard, like heavy paper. This is another Thomas de Man. And he's really good at lighting things too. So he makes these. Him and his studio assistants make these really intricate sculptures, and then he lights them very well, and photographs them, and then destroys the sculptures. And they're always like realistic enough where unless you're looking really closely, you won't even notice that things are fake. Like you'd have to look really close at the leaves to realize that there's certain bits of detail that aren't quite there that make it seem a little off. And he actually displayed this photo outside in the same space that he took the photo, which is kind of weird. He took a photo of the scene, went back to a studio, made a model of it, photographed the model, and then put the photo back outside. People have a lot of free time. So again, if you look at this, is like an extreme close-up of another one. So you can see like it's just Most people I know, I could tell when they would go into the gallery and see his work, that they probably just think they're just photographs of things. I don't think a lot of people look close enough to realize that there's something, amiss. You have to kind of look a little closer to see the fact that these leaves aren't real. This is called Space Simulator from 2003. Um, it's I'm assuming it's some kind of NASA space simulator. And again, so everything you're looking at, so even the lights that are way over here in this door, it's all made out of paper and cardboard, intricately so. Lots of attention to detail, but at the same time, lots of attention to detail. But there's like little tiny details aren't there. There's just enough detail for you to kind of read it as the real deal, but not quite every detail. Another Thomas Demand. This is so you can see. It's like when you look close here, you can kind of see like that edge is too thin, paper thin, to be like a real typewriter or whatever that is. It's just you can kind of see some kind of like folding of the paper, like origami like structure there. And this is easy to fake because that really is real paper. He did this whole series of these boring office spaces. This is a still from a video that he made. He made an animation of this called the Pacific Sun cruise ship. I'll put the links to the video of it because I don't have time to show it during the slide lecture here, but it was basically a YouTube video that he found of a Pacific Sun cruise ship that was it was security footage of it, and it has this huge like wave that starts rocking the ship side to side, and all the people and objects start swooshing back and forth. And then he used that video to make an animation. And I'll leave links to both of those if you want to watch them. That's them. I'll leave you the links. Will Cotton, another painter, a New York-based guy. He makes these like Candyland scenes. And again, I mean, why make a model? Because you can't just find photos of exactly the thing he needs to do, and he can't make up all of this out of his head. If he were to try to make it up out of his head, it's doable. There's several painters that I know who make things up almost solely out of their head, but it always kind of has this simplified, almost kind of cartoony quality to it. Some of them can get it to look real, but it never looks completely photographic real. In order for it to have, a heightened reality, you have to have the real thing. So you can see, here's the model here, and you can see his little camera stand right here. And there's his little Candyland, Wonderland. This is the photo. This is the photo of this scene. So you can see the little house right there. There's the house. These are all done in oil. They're very intricate and very well done. Another Will Cotton. People probably know him because what's her face? Katy Perry hired him to do the art direction for one of her albums. Daniel Dove. I like this painter a lot. And he does it's a combination of a lot of different things. He uses models. Sometimes that he makes them. Sometimes he makes them in the computer. This is like one of those indoor kids playthings that you see like at fast food places. So here's a photo reference that he used, or that he just saw. It captured his eye, but then it was a little too simple, maybe not quite exactly what he wanted. So he in a 3D rendering program, he makes a little more intricate model of what exactly that he wants. Which I play around a little bit with Maya. And the fun thing is you can literally make anything you want, any texture you want, any color, any kind of light, any color of light. It's a really fun program, but it takes a while to get used to using it. And then here's another same thing, but just a slight different variation on it. It's another one of his paintings. I don't know how he did this one. I'm guessing from a combination of photo references, built models, and imagination all kind of combined together here. Here's another one of his. So this one, let me show you the photo reference that he used. So it's kind of a little bit imagination, a little bit of looking at real things. And the reason why you need to build a model, especially when you're using color, is that light bounces around a lot in really unpredictable ways. So you can't always predict exactly, what's going to happen. So sometimes you need a reference to what you're doing. So here's the reference he used. So, and again, what I mean is like sometimes light will come in, hit this yellow, and it'll bounce up into the object, and the way the red and the greens and everything mixes together, you can never quite predict it. So sometimes you have to just build something to fill in all the gaps of your imagination, because your imagination can only do so much. It's another one of his. I think this is like a skate rink or skate park, and then he put in. This is the imagery from the Book of Kells, which is an ancient manuscript, to fill in and decorate the scene. I have no idea what this is. This is another one of his paintings. I got this off his website. It's just really bizarre looking. I liked it. James Gurney, he's an artist. He did a lot of concept art, and if you look at the top here, here's his little constructed scene that he would make, and he's using real outdoor light to get the real kind of sunlight effect. And here's the finished painting. Again, it's like once you kind of have a basic reference of all the shapes, it's easy to kind of use that as a starting point and then kind of elaborate and fill in little bits of extra stuff. Maybe he even found other photos of people and had them pose for him and combined it, multiple images to get the finished result. Another one of his, so you can see the model on the left, and then the finished piece on the right. And again, it's very helpful to have something, even if it's simple, because you never quite know exactly how, shadows are going to fall and create different shapes that you can't quite predict in your head. Here's another one that he did. I thought this is a very clever thing that he did. So he had this design in his sketchbook. This is it right here, of this animal. Then he wanted to draw it in 3D, so he cut it out of like some type of cardstock, and then bulked up the middle with some clay, and then found the angle that he wanted, lit it nice and dramatically, and then used that as the reference for this. So again, that's a lot of steps to get the end result, but it's really hard to go from here to here just purely on your imagination. Sometimes you need a model to help you out. Alexander Ross, a contemporary painter that I like, and to me, it's like what he's doing is very similar to what we're doing. He's using these little clay shapes, and the end result. This is oil paint, and he takes photographs of them and then makes the oil paintings. So you see, this is his desk. You can see this is a little sculpture he's working on, and then he lights it and then photographs it and then makes the painting. So here's an oil painting. There's another one of his. So again, there's just certain amounts of detail in here that's so, like, this is too, almost photographic realistic to make up out of your head. But at the same time, like this little pattern, he probably made that up out of his head. And again, a weird combination of like doodling that looks like he made up out of his head, but then adding some of these very specific photographic shapes of the blobs that he made. This is kind of a more abstract color pencil drawing. Slightly more realistic weird face. Another weird face. you know, it'd be easy to make this out of your head. Maybe you could make that up out of your head. Maybe make that up out of your head. This one looks like it was drawn or painted from life. There's too much specific detail in this one. Another head. This one, the color pencil. And a very peculiar one where it's so obvious that he made this shape, and then probably put it down on a piece of paper where he did this doodle in the background, and then combining, weird shapes that he just doodled and a weird shape that he doodled in clay together. This looks like he's making it up out of his head. Very cartoony, organic blobs. And I think it's good to keep in mind just how inventive the compositions are. Again, you notice he's not doing any bullseye compositions. Like, he's filling up the shape in an interesting way, or the space in an interesting way. All over composition. All over composition just means you literally just fill up the whole space evenly. There's another one of his weird combination of realistic and slightly more abstract. Some of his drawings. Try to speed through these a little bit. And I just want to end with Frank Stella, a really well-known painter, sculptor. He's known for experimenting with models both on the computer and in real life. Because if you're making a sculpture that's this big, you kind of need to have some kind of sketch to know exactly what you're doing. So he makes small maquettes. So here's an example of one of the smaller models that he'll make before he goes on to something big. And these are his architectural ones. You can see the little persons there as reference. Before the big one is made. And he makes these weird ones too. This is like it's like a painting / sculpture that hangs on the wall. And this one is like a 3D printed model of a proposal for like one of those architectural sculptures. So again, like, the whole reason why I'm showing you this stuff is because I want you to just realize that, like, sometimes you need to build a model if you're trying to make something. You can't always rely on your imagination or photo references. Sometimes you have to put in a little more work and build something.